It all started when I crossed paths with Olivia. We were both young, full of dreams and excitement, and when we got married, it felt like we were two halves of a perfect whole. We shared so many passions and an unshakable trust in each other. I thought I knew her better than anyone. Every little quirk, every subtle detail about the woman I promised to spend my life with. But what happened that night turned everything I believed upside down. It began pretty innocuously. Olivia had always been open-minded, adventurous, and undeniably curious. There was always this side of her that sparked some unconventional conversations now and then. We spent years talking about so many things, our hopes for the future, our intimate moments, and even those outlandish fantasies we occasionally let slip. But I never imagined it would lead to something like this. One evening, Olivia came to me and casually mentioned a party she had been invited to, a swinger party, she called it. She reassured me that it wasn't something she was seriously thinking about, just that the idea intrigued her. Initially, I laughed it off, dismissing it as something straight out of a bad movie. I'd heard of those parties, sure, but I never thought my wife would even entertain the notion of attending one. She assured me it was all just curiosity, that it wouldn't affect anything between us, and that nothing would happen. She swore up and down that things would remain unchanged. But when she came back from the party, I could tell something was off. She was distant, almost as if a wall had gone up between us. Her smile was stiff, and she couldn't quite meet my eyes. I tried to convince myself it was just the exhaustion from a late night, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. Maybe it was just my intuition kicking in, or perhaps I was simply reading too much into things. Either way, I decided to let it go. In the days that followed, the tension between us only deepened. The closeness we once shared began to slip away like sand through my fingers. The intimacy that had been the foundation of our relationship started to fade. I couldn't ignore it any longer. So I finally confronted Olivia, asking her about what had really happened at that party. She brushed it off as no big deal, claiming it was nothing. But I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to it, something she was holding back. One evening, my gut telling me I wasn't getting the whole truth, I made the decision to go through her phone. I knew it was wrong, an invasion of her privacy, but the doubt gnawed at me. When I saw a message from someone named Mark, someone I had never heard of before, my heart dropped. As I skimmed through the conversation, I felt a knot tighten in my chest. The messages were flirtatious, and it was clear there was something more than just casual chatting going on. I confronted her immediately, my voice shaky. She didn't try to deny it. The color drained from her face as she explained that, at the party, she had gotten swept up in the moment. One thing led to another, and she ended up sleeping with Mark. She tried to downplay it, saying it meant nothing and that it was just a mistake, a lapse in judgment. But to me, it wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal that cut deep, something that went beyond just the physical act. It was a violation of trust, a crack in the foundation of everything we'd built together. I was crushed. I had given her all of me, my love, my trust, and now it felt like it was all for nothing. I didn't know how to deal with the pain, how to make sense of everything. It felt like my world had been upended. What stung the most wasn't just the affair. It was the fact that she didn't seem to grasp the full weight of what she'd done. She apologized, of course, said she was sorry, but it felt hollow, like words thrown into the wind. She seemed more focused on saving our marriage than on understanding the deep wound she had caused. The days that came after were filled with arguments and tears. I really tried to forgive her. I did. I tried to push past the betrayal and rebuild what we once had. But every time I looked at her, all I could see was that image of her with someone else, an indelible moment that I could never erase. I couldn't keep living in that lie. I couldn't pretend everything was fine, when inside, I was suffocating with pain. It became clear that we weren't the people we were before that night. Our marriage, once full of love and trust, had turned into a painful reminder of everything I had lost. After weeks of sleepless nights and endless arguments, I made the hardest choice of my life. I filed for divorce. I had no other option. I couldn't keep living with the constant ache of what had happened, the feeling that I'd never be able to trust her again. My love for her was still there, but it was buried under layers of betrayal. When I told her, her face crumpled. She begged me to reconsider, to try to work things out. But deep down, I knew there was no going back. I couldn't unsee what I'd seen, and I couldn't stay in a relationship that no longer felt real. In the end, it wasn't about the affair itself. It was about the trust we'd lost and the person I had become. I wasn't the man who could just ignore the pain anymore. I had to choose myself, no matter how much it broke me. As I signed the divorce papers, I couldn't help but wonder how things had gone so wrong. But one thing was certain: I had made the right decision. The betrayal was too much, and I couldn't keep living in the shadow of what we once had. In the months that followed, I slowly started to rebuild my life, one step at a time. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And though it still hurt, I knew that walking away from the woman I once loved was the only way forward. Sometimes life throws us curveballs that we never saw coming, and sometimes those curveballs change everything forever. Cheating Secrets podcast, like me,